Hey everybody, got another video here for you. So this video is going to be a little unusual. It's going to be concepts, new ideas, and stuff I'm not going to build at this time. So I've been working on things, and I pretty much finished up the Fender 12, and I'm in the process of staining the Flying V build. And so I was starting to look at what was next, and the triple tube carbon fiber neck was looking like the next thing on the list. And so I started thinking about it, and it was like, well, what it was is that I'd figured out the carbon fiber tube neck, and I figured out the way to attach it to like two tubes of a carbon fiber tube body. I'd already, figured out how to attach one to a wood body, and so then I was down to the point of, well, if I want to make it an all carbon fiber tube build, body and neck, I need to, match it up with a bridge in order to figure out what the body's got to look like. And that got me started to thinking about, just in general, exactly how much, whether all of this was necessary, or more specifically, what it was is that it was turning out that the body was going to be rather complex, and at least to fit a Steinberger, combination of like 6 tubes wide kind of a thing, non-trivial, and especially since it all has to be coplanar and stuff, even though it's not difficult to achieve that, but yeah, it was more than just gluing two tubes together, and then you're also, you're talking, not an insignificant amount of material costs here either. So it was a question of, well, is, hassle to benefit ratio, right? That's really what everything in life comes down to. So the hassle is it costs more, and it's somewhat involved in order to assemble a thing, and yeah, cutting and drilling takes forever. It's just like hardened steel, and then what's the benefit? And so, yeah, this got me looking at, like the X6 design and the X13 design, and the designs in general, and thinking about hassle benefit ratio and what you need, what you don't need, and stuff like this. And I came up with this basic concept, which basically everything on a guitar boils down to, it's one of 3 categories. It's either something you need, like you got to have tuners, you got to have a pickup, you got to have an output jack, that kind of stuff. Or something that's nice. Locking tuners are nicer than non-locking, unless you need the weight break from non-locking or something like that. And, roller's nicer than non-roller, and things of that nature. And then you've got Bling, and it really seems like, unless I, do some builds and sonic tests, that a carbon fiber body would probably just be Bling. You just do it for the coolness factor, and nothing more. And you see, my problem, I think part of it is that I carry as they say, quote-unquote, cognitive baggage of being, a lifelong engineer. And so I'm always thinking about how can I achieve this at a lower cost. So that's, one of the things that they hammer into you in engineering is that, you never spend $2 on a bolt when a $1 bolt will get the job done within, all your safety parameters and everything else, Never ever spend engineering economics is one of the classes that any real engineering degree teaches to you. So, yeah. Parts cost money, man. Don't waste money. So, yeah, yeah. So essentially, other than the coolness factor, odds are a carbon fiber body are going to be, a waste of money, except for the coolness factor. It's not that hard. It's, you cut 6 tubes to length of various diameters. I think it works out to be like you need 4 10 millimeters and then a pair of 17s. Seems to do the job rather nicely. You do 4 10s across the middle, and then you got your flanked by 17s, and it fits all of this, and it gives you a couple of 10s that you can attach your neck to, kind of like this kind of an idea, where this would be the center tube of the neck. It's actually that one. It's a little smaller. That's a 15. That's 17. These are 10s. Yeah. So that's an example of needs versus nice versus bling. So on an X6, you don't need the roller saddles. Just the bridge block and the fender type saddles works just fine, I'm sure. You don't need locking tuners. The additional weight of locking tuners is nice. The easier string up is nice. You have the downside of the lack of reusability of strings, which just bit me with the Fender 12 build, because I can't reuse the strings because it used to have locking tuners, but it now went to lightweight tuners on the headstock. Made one hell of a difference, pardon my French. But downside is I can't reuse the strings because they were locking, and I probably wouldn't be able to reuse them anyway. So, you know how it is in guitars. Things have their ups and their downs. Every part has its pluses and minuses, so to speak. So, okay, so that's the basic concept: is what's a guitar need, what's nice to have on a guitar, and what's just bling. And the carbon fiber neck actually falls in the category of nice. It's not just bling. It's nice because you don't need a truss rod, so you don't have to mess with the truss rod. But it's not something that you need. And the material cost is approximately twice that of a wood neck. So, there you go. And so, yeah, if you want to spend twice as much, you can do a carbon fiber and not have to mess with the truss rod. But, for half the price, you can get a wooden one that works just fine. It's got a truss rod in it. Sure, you got to play with the truss rod, once every 6 months maybe, or whatever. Unless you're gigging out every night, but that's a kind of different issue. So, all right, so that was the concept part of this. Ideas. Yeah, let me grab some sketches. Well, I don't have a sketch, so I guess I'll make one. So idea number 1 here is, if you've got your neck and your heel area, and you do the trapezoid thing. I'm doing this through the camera, I probably shouldn't. I'm getting off center. So you've got your neck and you've got your heel area, and you do your trapezoid thing, your triangular heel like that. And then you cut away all this material. Grind it down, sand it off, whatever, rasp it out. So that's the current kind of thing going on the experimental guitars. So the idea is that if you go over to the body side, you go, okay, so I've got my triangular heel here. And then when I go to carve, I say, okay, here's my neck screws, and here's my little rectangle of no entry, so to speak. And then I carve away this stuff in order to taper everything and taper off the point as well. So the new idea is that you forget about the triangular heel altogether, and instead you just carry your trapezoid all the way to the end, like this. This is now in 3D, with your holes, here for your neck. And then on the body side, you forget about all this triangular part, and you just have your little square of no entry, which you then, taper within an inch of its life, basically. And what you do is you just make it big enough so that it's strong enough and nothing more. And that becomes your new neck joint, which is definitely smaller than this. So that's the first idea. And then the second idea I've actually got a sketch for. Now this here is nice because you don't really need any more materials or anything. It's just a different way of carving the neck and body in order to give you an even smaller cross-sectional heel joint. And as long as you make this portion strong enough, it shouldn't really be an issue not having this material here or this material here. So it's just a matter of making this big enough and everything should work fine. So that's definitely one I want to try. And let me get the sketch for the other one. Okay, if you take a look at this thing, this was guitar number 4, and it started out as an art or concept build, but it also incorporated a number of experimental design elements, so it kind of turned into an experimental build. Ultimately, it tested like about 3 or 4 different things, and some were successes and some were failures. One of the things that was a success was a narrow neck profile all the way up to the end of the fingerboard, and then having the heel section of the guitar extended down here below the fingerboard. The downside of this design of the extended heel, well, the upside is that you've got your narrow neck profile all the way to the 24th or whatever fret. The downside is that your heel block now takes up your neck pickup position, and you can't have a neck pickup. So I've been trying to figure out a way to eliminate this, and I finally figured out a way. And this here is why I want to be able to eliminate the neck block. This is the Robotuner build, which is currently waiting for a new battery, but it features a sliding pickup, which means that you can move the pickup around from the neck to the bridge or any place you want in between. And, even for, a more conventional build where you've got a neck pickup, if you've got a block like that guitar over there did, then you can't do the neck pickup. So I was trying to figure out a way to do a neck and eliminate this part so that this part here at the heel is as thin as the rest of it, but not have to have the neck stick out here where you want your neck pickup. And this is the answer that I came up with, is that basically you've got to and get a different colored marker. It'll make things a lot easier. Basically what you do is you get a piece of like 1/8 inch thick steel bar or a flat Stanley bracket or something like that, and it goes like right here, like that. And so what it does is basically you just kind of like chisel or route out a little channel here at the, it would actually be back here. That's the thing. That's the reason why you have to chisel or route it out, is if you want to do this whole sliding pickup thing, then you can't have it sticking up above the body, really. Unless you've got enough room and you can raise the whole thing. But if you're running the 20 millimeter thick flat heel design, then you're not really going to have a lot of room to work with to begin with. So I was figuring that you route or chisel out a channel in here so that it mounts flush into the body. And then your neck just has a regular trapezoid profile, like this thing, the full length. No triangle heel, just trapezoid profile, the full length. And then it just screws onto the bar that sticks out the end. The body ends right here. The bar sticks out to here. The sides are all sanded smooth and stuff like that, or ground down a little bit or whatever to make them, so it's not uncomfortable or anything. And it's going to make this joint, almost as thin as just the neck. It'll only add, that much. Let's call it 3 mil. Yeah, so basically the idea is that you end the body here and you have like a 3 mil bar, 3 mil thick bar that's like, as wide as the no-go zone on the neck and the body is for the screws. So maybe about that wide, maybe about 10, 13, 15 mil, something like that. And it just goes from like here back to here. And that would thin this whole section of the neck. The neck essentially would not have a heel at all. It would just be neck profile. And then for the body portion of the heel joint, you just have this little flat bar, which is all smoothed down. And I'd like to try that as well, but I think that the wood would be, pretty close and wouldn't require the bar and the extra effort of machining and the cost of the bar. Not that any of those things are going to be that intense, though. So, but then again, it's a matter of am I trying to solve a problem that doesn't really need solving? So maybe I'll try the wood joint first. See if, it makes a difference, a big ergonomic difference versus the triangle heel joint. And then maybe I'll try the bar joint heel to see if it's an even greater improvement over the narrow wood heel joint. So that's the bar connector idea. And it's got a number of things going on. Like I said, let's see. It leaves room for the neck pickups. Yeah, it's recessed into the body so that your little steel plate here that your pickup slides across can mount flush on the body if needed, like it does on this one. Yeah, on this one it actually uses a bit of a slope because of the slope, the neck break angle on this particular guitar. Yeah, it has no heel, so you get the smaller neck profile going the full length, and it also still sticks out and uses screws, which means that you can still use neck shims in order to adjust your brake angle and get all your action perfect, and your saddle heights and range and all that good happy stuff. So it seems to have a number of advantages. I I looked at this 10 millimeter stuff in carbon fiber to see if that would work, but it's already probably a little thicker than like a flat steel Stanley bracket would be, and it has probably a bit too much flex in it in order to be an actual. Because whatever this bar thing is that you would use for this kind of a heel joint, that's going to have to take the full load. Yeah, it's going to be it. The neck joint will not be any stronger than that bar. Whatever material you put in there. I mean, I checked out, if you look over there by the, you can barely see it, but just in front of the oak, like right behind the fridge, there is a piece of, the bottom piece of like a 6 or 8 foot piece of aluminum, 1/8 inch aluminum bar stock. And I tried like, narrow bar stock and wide bar stock and the 10 millimeter and other thicknesses of carbon fiber, testing them for the flexibility because of the fact that that's going to be, however flexible this bar is however much your neck is going to want to bend. So yeah, it's going to have to, I'm thinking it's going to have to be, like 1/8 inch steel or 3/16 or something like that. It's going to have to be some relatively thick stuff. 3 mil. You don't want to get up to 5 mil because then you're starting to lose the whole point because, you're only at about 15 mil here. But then again, then it comes down to, are you trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist? Is it worth, it's kind of like drag racing where you're getting down to trying to shave thousandths off your time. You're trying to shave millimeters off your heel thickness here. Now the flat heel design change seems to lower the overall heel thickness of a guitar by approximately 5 millimeters on average, I'm noticing. So, and it is that much more ergonomically comfortable. So yeah, there could be some additional ergonomic benefit from this bar type connection thing. And about the only downside I see is that it would add a bit of mass to the guitar right here, but that's not a bad place to add it, So that would at least be neutral, but it would raise the overall mass of the guitar slightly. Not a lot, but once you start getting into the kind of like how thin it has to be and how strong it has to be, you're really down to either like a piece of steel or maybe some kind of a rectangular carbon fiber or bar stock kind of a thing. And that's something I still have to check into. But I suspect that once again is going to have flexibility issues the way the 10 millimeter tubes do. Now it's possible that, I don't know, I'd have to get some materials in here and test them. It's possible that maybe a solid 6 millimeter carbon fiber rod or something like that might do the trick. And then you could always just, drill it, screw it, and sand down the end with a mask on in order to get it smooth and do something like that perhaps. But anyway, pardon me. Oh, it says my battery's low. I'll be back.